I know that one day humans are going to discover the causes of mental distress for most of the mental health ailments we observe nowadays. And it's going to be similar to the experiences that Koch and Pasteur had, these guys, and the way that they, in their time, were perceived as heretics and speaking nonsense, and people really were very highly skeptical of the germ theory and of the fact that you should wash your freaking hands before touching the diseased. And I'm sure that in about 100 years or so, or maybe even faster, if we don't all die in a nuclear apocalypse, then we will see that there are actual reasons why certain people experience certain states. And I think our progress in the neurodivergent paradigm in this realm really shows that there is something with the nervous system that you just can't change and control at all times, and you need to examine it and study it and come to the conclusion that you cannot remedy all of the mental health disorders. And as you observe DSM and having things like grief disorder, I think, was added recently, and see how they are restricting the criteria so that fewer people are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, you realize that this manual doesn't serve the people. This manual serves capitalism, which finds it very inconvenient that there's so many special snowflakes that need accommodations and that can't just work and not complain. And also denying CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder, is another huge area in the DSM. It hasn't been added to the DSM, so that has caused quite some anger among many people, myself included, because CPTSD is as evident as ever. You see so many people who were subjected to continuous trauma in their early formative years, and now they are presenting with some symptoms that sometimes can even be mistaken for autistic spectrum disorder. So it is very important that we examine the differences between the two and we look at the possible accommodations for the people who have these conditions, because more often than not, what people with either ASD or CPTSD, what they need is rest and understanding and compassion. And that's, of course, not all there is to it. There are definitely some physiological things that make some people with ASD and CPTSD may need or not need. But there are some things that capitalism just can't afford to give to people, like peace and rest and assurance that tomorrow is not going to be a terrible death in a freaking apocalypse. And obviously nobody can make promises like that. But the reason why many of the conditions nowadays are pathologized is because it is much more convenient to give people pills so that they are functioning, so that they can continue participating in the capitalist chase, continuing to earn a profit for the capitalists, and then shut up and die. And it's very, very inconvenient, and it's very, very not profitable to have the people rest and take care of themselves and meditate and dance and do their little silly whatever it is they need to do for their mental health sake. So I want you to examine the circumstances in which we make our diagnoses and in which we observe certain ailments being pronounced as such. And I want us to question the status quo.